Now, the fact that I did 3 different intros in this video is a good indication that I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I still hadn't decided whether to do a single stage or a dual stage dust collector. The only thing I did know is that my dust collector with a plastic collection bag wasn't cutting it, and I desperately needed an upgrade. Now, when I don't know what to do, I do research. That's just what I do. I looked at every single kind of dust collection system I could find. I watched all kinds of YouTube videos. I even asked a couple AI tools to design me a good dust collection system. That didn't go very well. But I did this for over a year. Is that obsession or is that procrastination? I don't know. I just wasn't excited about any particular solution. When it comes to dual stage dust collectors, there's 2 primary kinds out there. There's the cyclones and there's the thin baffles. And the cyclones, well, those can get pretty pricey, pretty expensive. A couple $100 all the way up to thousands. The thin baffle, the nice thing about it is it's something that's pretty easy to build and it's pretty darn efficient. Now, I'm kind of happy with my current dust collection setup. I love my 6-inch piping. I love the fact that it's up off the ground. There doesn't take up much wall space with those drop downs. I love the fact that the motor is also up off the ground. And those are 2 constraints that I had to work within because I didn't want to change any of that. So I had no idea what I wanted to do, but I wanted to get started. So why not add caster wheels to the bottom of my barrel that I've had sitting here for over a year? That seemed to make sense. That turned out to be a mistake, as you'll see later. Now, to work on a project without a plan is not a good plan, but I kept moving forward. I decided to start with the repository for the bottom end of the filter, as this is expected to catch very little dust. And I knew what I wanted to do. I started building a plywood ring that would fit right up inside the rim of the filter. I was pretty happy with how it turned out, but I had just ordered the screw-on lid for the 3.5-gallon bucket, and I didn't think to check its diameter. So, well, I built a second ring and a third ring to slip inside the bucket lid for a snug fit. Once all the rings were glued together, I had something that would easily seal to the bottom of the filter. It was just a little more work than I thought. I found some clips online made for this, but they were $27 for 6, so I tried to make my own. I bought 10 2-inch hose clamps on Amazon for $6.99, cut 3 of them down to make clips. It's hard to cut that metal, but easy to bend in place. Didn't take me very long. I used 3, and after a little testing, I added 3 more for a total of 6 clips. It's pretty amazing that someone could charge $27 for 6 of these clips. Now I could start the key component of the Stage 2 filter, the thin baffle.
There we go.
Now the first question is, why did I finally decide to build a 2-stage dust collector? Well, I expect the results of the design would have less dust going through the filter, meaning cleaner air for me, even though it is a HEPA filter, a longer lasting filter, and possibly even improved airflow. I used 2 round discs for the inside and outside of the top cover to add strength, and drilled 4 holes for bolts to hold it together, but I forgot that I also needed a bottom plate that I needed to drill 4 holes through. That made it a little bit more difficult. And as for the possible airflow improvements, this will remain to be seen, but because of the separation process, I expect a cleaner filter and should have consistent suction in the form of CFM because of all the heavy dust falling out before it hits the filter. As I said before, I decided to go with a thin baffle design. It's frankly cheaper design, it's relatively easy to build, and will definitely take less space than a cyclone. Although the cyclone could capture more of that fine dust, I will take the trade-off for space efficiency and cost any day. I found several variants of the thin baffle, but why not go to the source? There's an article by J. Phil Thien that really kind of takes you through everything that he did. I attempted to mimic the... When I cut out the bottom disc, I forgot to add the flange. This build is starting to become a comedy of errors. Why in the heck didn't I do plans? Because I decided to use 6-inch pipe, I didn't account for the rod that goes through the top into the bottom plate. It interferes with that 6-inch pipe. Boy, I could have used some plans. Now, with my approach, I wanted to incorporate the barrel lid into the design. The lid provides an excellent seal with the barrel already, and why not leverage that? I also felt it was necessary to strengthen the interface between the flexible hoses outside the barrel and the fittings inside the barrel. So I took the bag off, I cleaned the filter as best I could, and with the blower, I don't know if that really helped or made it worse. Tried to clean out the inside and clean the area around it. So got everything clean. I'm going to try to start putting this thing back together and make something a little bit better than what I had. I had to remove one little piece of dust pipe and reconfigure it. How hard could that be? Well, with that foil tape and those screws, it was a nightmare. Just look and see what I had to go through to make this switch happen. Well, what was going to be a simple move of one piece of pipe is I ended up taking this whole section out here, and then I found out right here I had not a very good connection. So now I've got a whole piece to fix, but I actually think I can bridge both of them and drop it down where that blue tape is. I'm going to drop a line right down there. Well, I got this section put together, but I had to take this whole piece down in an effort to fix it and my clamp rack. So I've taken at least half of the dust collection system down just to change one pipe. Well, I got this piece installed. Holy cow, was that a chore. Anyway, I don't know if I would have done this again if I would have known this was so much work. But then I put my hoses on, and guess what? They're too short. So it looks like I'm going to have to build a platform to make this work. And furthermore, this one hose is, it's okay, but it's a little bit, build a bracket to get a better, maybe a 45 or at least a 90 on that. Well, as I told you earlier, I don't need the casters. They all have to come off. So this is the space for the dust collector barrel, and you can see the hoses here, and I have to raise the barrel up quite a bit. So I figured instead of just building a platform for this barrel right here, why not build some storage? Got 183 square feet. I always want storage. So here's the piece of wood that's going to be the platform, and I'm going to cut this metal and trim the edge. Very similar to what I did over on the miter saw table right here. Probably look just like that. Okay, off camera I had a piece of this 1-inch tubing to go around the fronts, and I didn't have enough to go all the way around. I just thought this would give it some rigidity and would also kind of match my miter saw. Maybe I need 3. The barrel, and I'm going to put it right on this end, and I cut these pieces earlier to be able to go out here, and I've got a disc on the bottom of the barrel that's what is it at? It's 15 inches in diameter, so I drew a line at that 15. I gave myself a little leeway, and I'm just going to screw these in place and hope the barrel fits. We'll see what happens. Well, this video is about dust collection and trying to improve my dust collection, but like everything else in this video, something goes wrong, something has to change. So I decided I want 2 drawers to come out in the front instead of the side. I think sleeping on it overnight made sense, so I got to move this board down to here, and that'll be basically the kick plate for the cabinet, just like this is on the side, and I'll put a 1/4 inch facade over that. Okay, now some people may call me cheap. I'd like to think of myself as smart, but I bought a sample of paint to paint this because I'm just painting these legs, and I only have to do 3 of the legs. Nothing else will show. It'll basically match the miter saw table, and it'll be a dark color like I had there. The mistake I made when I do stuff like this is I should have taken the sample tag and somewhere easily visible tagged it on the inside of a board. With that available, I can then go buy another sample of the same paint if I build something else. The problem I'm going to have is I'm going to have 3 or 4 tools in this shop with similar colors but not exactly the same. Not that big of a deal for me, but some people may criticize that and may want everything to look perfectly the same. I'm a perfectionist, but hey, when it comes to stuff like that, it's not a big deal, and I'm using old 2x4s to make this. It's not perfect, but I'm okay with that. So to finish it off, I built 2 drawers dressed with shaker doors built out of Baltic birch plywood, of course, and added 2 rails. Great storage for not much money, but this isn't the point of this video. I drew out a 45 on this piece of wood that I'm going to cut out, and I'm going to cut 2 of them. They'll be both scrap, and I want to cut this because I'm going to make a bracket that will support this hose up here and try to get me more towards a 45-degree angle versus what it is there, which is a very sharp, maybe 180. Once the bracket was finished, I used a handful of cable ties to strap it on the hose to form a much softer angle than what I had before. Now I have cut the tabs off on these poles so they're not quite so long. And I actually made a slight modification. This right here, I took out a section about maybe 4 inches because this airflow is going to go down and into this pipe right here. I ran a pretest, just so you know. I got about a 70%, maybe 75% improvement, which I'm not complaining about. But I'm wondering if that one little change might get that to 85%. We'll see. I've got my filter bucket here, which is essentially empty, and my blue barrel, which is very empty. And I've got some dust right here that I want to suck up and see how it works. So let me hook the camera up here so it's fixed, and we can give that a try. Okay, here we go. Got everything hooked up. Just need some airflow. You can tell there that I still had pretty good airflow. I was a little worried with this barrel and everything that I might lose some airflow, and unfortunately I don't have a gauge to measure it, but I think it probably is about as good as it was before. I'm not complaining at all. Let me take the bucket off and take a look here. And I did get some, you can see that. That's actually a little bit better than what I got last time. But the significant thing is all that dust isn't going through this filter. Even though it's a HEPA filter, doesn't have to work as hard to keep the air clean. Everything's going to go in this barrel, and very happy with the results in the end.